live today, the NRDD show. So if y'all weren't standing around just before, well, obviously you weren't because we weren't live, standing around just before when Nick and I have this thing where we ask if you're ready to go live, and Nick wasn't quite ready. So today we've got Mr. Alex Sheridan, ABS, with us. Alex, welcome, my friend.
Glad to be here, guys. Pumped.
So, Mr. Redstone, I've got you back on camera here. So say hello to everybody.
Yeah, hey, look, guys, absolutely stoked. It's, what are we, episode 2 now of season 2 of the kickoff of the NRDD live sales and business coaching show. Look, this one is very special for Dan and I. ABS, as we know him, Alex B. Sheridan, and so many of you will be getting to know Alex and who he is and starting to see some of his content. Alex is part of our alumni, as part of our coaching group, and Alex has just been taking off on LinkedIn for, I reckon, about the last 6 months, really just absolutely rocketing. You can't miss his content. You can't miss his videos. It's just eye-watering stuff from a point of view of what you're learning, the value Alex brings. And we wanted to bring him on our show because it's a customer spotlight. We worked with Alex. We did coaching with him. We taught him some of our tricks and tips and stuff like that. And we want Alex to share with you guys today some of the things that maybe are not so much about just the content creation. It's also about getting inside Alex's mind and understanding how he made that shift from employee to entrepreneur, deciding that he wanted to take his own destiny and create that dream and follow that dream. And, you know, no better way to sort of start the show than bring Alex in. Dan, I'd love to kick off, mate. Have we got the kick off the show as we always do? That was the one job you had.
Right.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you today?
Not bad, not bad. Just looking at your reports here from last week, and you know, your results and numbers really aren't up to par on where you should be. You know, what's going on?
Well, you know, it is a pandemic out there, sir. You know, I'm trying my best to reach people and, you know, do my research on people and make sure I got all my ducks in a row before I make the calls.
I just feel right now maybe you're floundering a little bit, or you're not organized correctly. You know, is there anything we can help you with?
I appreciate that you want to be in touch with me all the time. Yeah, you know, so no, I'm good.
Okay. Well, you know, again, you know, it's 2:00 right now. So again, you know, what have you done so far today?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna get this one now. I'm gonna get this one. This one's gonna be a good one. Take a lot of time doing this. There we go. Now we're gonna make a butterfly. We do cursive writing. There we go. Look at that. Dan, you are an awesome design maker.
Check your home's first responder. Smoke and carbon monoxide.
Netflix.
Look at the date. If it's older than 10 years.
Oh, here we come. Yeah! All right. Well, I mean, it's 12 o'clock somewhere. I've done a lot. I mean, I've made a lot of calls. I've made sure I've spoken to a lot of customers. I mean, my pipeline is getting so full. You're going to see results in no time. I promise you that.
All right, Nick, you're back on.
Awesome, guys. So, look, I hope you really enjoyed that. The emphasis on that wasn't so much, let's see what Dan does in a day, because I already knew that personally, right? 2/3 of stuff all, but the emphasis is about how we can get a bit sort of lazy, as salespeople in this COVID environment, how we can sort of start to go, yeah, I am doing a productive day, but are we actually being as productive as we can? So that's our sort of funny take on it. When I said Dan has one job, he has plenty of jobs on the NRDD show, and he does a fantastic job. But you guys will notice we have this banter between Dan and I. We had it in season 1. We'll have it again in season 2. Dan will wear anything, from a pizza to something that just doesn't fit his man-sized body, or wears children's shirts sometimes. We have a lot of fun. Just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce Alex. Alex Sheridan, fantastic content creator on LinkedIn. It's our pleasure to have you on the show. Alex, thank you very much for being on the show today, mate.
Happy to be on, guys. Thanks for having me.
So there's just one thing that I got to clarify here, Nick. Okay, I've got an account at Baby Gap, so I tend to get some of my stuff there. And, so we'll just, it's comfy clothes. It's, I feel good in them. And, you don't allow me to wear T-shirts. Let's call a spade and let's just do it that way, brother. I'll send it back to you because I know you got some questions for ABS to get this show rocking and start giving off some killer value for people out there that are really interested in video marketing.
All right, so let's start with the first question here, Alex. One of the things that I'm really interested to understand is, what was the point where you decided that you no longer wanted to be an employee and you wanted to start to work for yourself? You wanted to start to create this content creator, mindset and business that you've started to create for yourself.
So for me personally, I wanted to do it for a long time. Like, I knew for years back that it was something I wanted to do. But the question was, when did I make the switch? And really what was big for me when I was talking to you guys is making the switch from actually operating as an employee versus an actual business person or a founder of a new company. So for me, it was like, when did that switch happen? And that switch happened, like I said, really when we first started talking, where I was just thinking, okay, I'm creating content. I'm going to get a couple clients here and there, and and this thing's going to build, right? It's just going to happen. Like, one day it's just going to take off. And then the switch where I really started thinking like a founder of a company was when I started putting things like KPIs in place. And hey, how much revenue do I need to generate per week or per 2 weeks? And how many meetings do I need to set up this week to where this business is sustainable? Because I had to get to a place where if I knew I left my full-time job, that the income from the new company was going to more than replace that, at minimum replace it. And I just didn't have that mindset yet, and I certainly didn't have the actions to back it up. So once I started making that mental switch of thinking of it like an actual business as opposed to just a side hustle or something I'm doing on the side, that's when everything started changing for me.
So
Alex,
awesome. Question for you. That mental shift, did you find it was a key moment? Did you find it was like a progression towards that key moment? Like, when that shift actually happened and you said, I can actually do this? Because I think a lot of people in the audience here are probably wanting to do that, right? Because that creative side of you kind of always wants to do something on your own. But where did you find that shift happened for you?
Well, I definitely think there's progression, and I think some of it happens gradually, just naturally as the state of going through the entrepreneurial journey. But I think of one specific moment, and Nick will remember this, when we were talking on the phone. I remember exactly, I was sitting right over there. I remember exactly what time of day it was, like what I was doing, everything. It was a Friday night. And Nick, I think, asked me a question. This is early on when I first got involved with you guys. And it was a question, something to the extent of, so when are you going to turn the content into business? Or how are you going to make money from the content? And it really just is a very simple question, but it just changed the way that I looked at it. I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I can't sit around and wait for this, something to happen or the right video to get in front of the right person who needs what I need. I need to start taking more action in terms of thinking of my content, not just as good content, but as a content that filters in a business model. And there's actually revenue that will be generated from it. And so that was one of the probably many moments that I remember having. And Nick remembers that moment like it's yesterday. It feels like yesterday, but it's been a little time now. But that was a pivotal moment for me.
Oh, dude, it was a moment for me as well because, I've called you the chameleon forever, right? I mean, you do all your own acting and all your own roles, and all your own videos. And I said, Alex, you can be a police officer and you look like a police officer. You can be the Wolf of Wall Street, you know, and you look like the Wolf of Wall Street. I just think you're so clever. But I said to you, when do you decide, and I think this is really important for your audience and the audience watching out there today, when do you decide that that's clever and it's bringing value versus how do you monetize that? How do you do something with it? And I think I made the suggestion, why don't you put some of your videos online and make them available to people to purchase so they can actually use your videos in their own presentations. You remember that?
Yep.
So what was the point where you went, okay, if we look at the 5 1s, Alex, you remember we talked about, and I brought this up last week, guys, you know, product, content, pricing, traffic to you, and then brand. What was the point where you realized that the brand was already impacts, but you needed to take it to the next step, and you, like you said, you needed to sort of work through monetizing that? What was the point where you went, this is how I'm going to start to do that, where you recognize that you had that opportunity to do that?
I mean, it does go back to that same conversation that we had, but I started thinking about, before we were talking, you know, I had a handful of clients. It was nothing crazy, but it was mostly me just charging hourly rates. And it was me coaching, consulting people on how to build their personal brand on LinkedIn, how to generate some revenue on LinkedIn. But it wasn't a real product. I wasn't building a community. I didn't have the price points where I needed to be. I was just kind of all over the place. And as most new entrepreneurs are with their business. And so I had to sit down and really think about, what are the offerings that I'm going to offer people? Like what value can I offer them, and how am I going to package this up so that I can market it and so that it makes sense, and so that it's scalable too. It's sustainable, I can handle it, but it's also scalable where I can take on many more clients so that I could replace that full-time income. But that's, for me, talking about the 5 1s, like the product and the pricing were huge for me, because that's just what I just didn't have that down yet.
So if I can jump in, Alex, sorry, Nick, if I can jump in, Alex, because I think at this point, I'd like to regurgitate a question that we just started talking about before we went live. So for all of you that have seen Alex's videos, and Nick's given you kind of a very good baseline if he hasn't, Alex actually creates, in a lot of his videos, he creates a story. He did that battle rap, which was totally sweet, by the way. But, you know, Alex creates these videos. So I asked Alex a very specific question before we rolled. And Alex, I'll ask it 2-pronged, so this way we don't have to keep flipping back and forth and you can kind of answer it twice. So A, how long do those videos take to make? And B, what ROI do you see? Why do you put them out there? You know, an entertaining video versus an education video versus a get a hold of me now video. Yeah,
so a couple, well, 2 parts. One, how long do they take? The videos that I do, doesn't have to be how everyone rolls, but the videos that I create, most of them, where there is the acting, the characters, the different scenes, some of the humor, that kind of stuff, those can take anywhere from 2 hours to 6 or 7 hours. But the ROI of that is I can post 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I can go into each week with 15 plus Zoom meetings scheduled just through that content alone. When I post content, people are reaching out to me, inbound leads, which are obviously the best kind. Those are the warm leads, right? We don't have to chase down people. We've got credibility and authority in our space, and we're putting out good content that's adding value. So I'm the first person they think of when they think, hey, I need to create content that generates revenue for my business and grows my brand. And so they're coming to me. But the biggest ROI is through all of this content, and this whole business model is based around LinkedIn video content. I've been able to leave my full-time job and pursue my dream. So that, for me, that was the biggest ROI. And now I run 5-week LinkedIn video boot camps, and we've got all type of stuff that we're doing with companies. But to go back to why I chose to do the more creative side, why do the acting, why do the comedy, why do the rap out, why do that stuff? Because I saw an opportunity that no one else was doing. And I knew it played to my strengths, which I think is what everyone has to do. They have to look internally and say, hey, what am I naturally good at? What can I bring to the table? How can I leverage my personality? Because that's important when you're starting that content creation process. But I quickly realized late last year when I was putting out videos that were kind of, Nick remember these. I mean, Nick was there day one. He remembers these like kind of funny, humorous videos, but also there was a message and there was a value. And I said, man, when customers started coming to me, that's when the light bulb went off. And I was like, there is something to this. There is a business model to this, and there's 680 million people on LinkedIn, and I didn't see one single person doing what I was doing. And I knew there was a niche to be carved out here. And I'm glad I saw that and acted on it, because there is. And now you see more people with green screens and starting to add humor to the videos and stuff. And so it really came down to the ROI, what was I going to get out of it, and how I was going to stand out and build a unique brand that just was so different than what anyone else was doing.
So at this point, Alex, let's go back to before you had inbound leads, and because I think it's important for people that maybe are just starting. How did you prospect when you didn't have inbound leads on LinkedIn? Like, share with us
Yeah.
kind of, if you don't mind giving away your secret, share
Yeah.
with us how you went through that and how you saw people's comments differently than other people. And I'll leave the floor to you again.
Yeah, there's a couple different. So if you break down like the lead gen process on LinkedIn, obviously the best leads are when people reach out to you, right? Those are the inbound leads. And those aren't going to happen a lot in the beginning because you're just getting started, to your point. The second best type of leads that you can get are the ones where people are already engaging with you, meaning they're liking your stuff, they're commenting on your stuff. This gets missed so much, Dan. Like, people hop on, they create a piece of content, they get 15, 20 likes. And I'll be like, hey, John, did you go through those 20 likes and see who's in your target demographic and send them a video DM, which is where I'm going next with this? And like, oh no, I didn't even go through them. And it's like, hey, they watched your content and they reacted to it, or they dropped a comment. They are interested. It may be like high, maybe the top of the funnel still, but there's some level of interest. And so when you reach out, it's still a warm type of call. It's a warm conversation. It's not you reaching out cold. So that would be the second best kind, is your likes, reactions, that kind of stuff, comments. The third kind would be maybe you're interacting with somebody on their post. So you're asking me like, how do you social sell? How do you message people on LinkedIn if you don't have it coming into you? You go out and find the people that you want to do business with. So for me, what I did is I would search certain hashtags. So I would go LinkedIn video hashtag, and I would go through the feed, and all the videos would pop up that people had LinkedIn hashtag in their actual post. And I would see who's creating videos. And I would just look for videos that, you could tell weren't getting a lot of action, or they weren't well done and that kind of stuff. And I could tell there were some missing things just knowing what I know. And then I would like it, I would comment on it. And then I'd send them a connection request if I wasn't connected with them. Once they accepted, then I sent them a personalized video DM. And it wasn't me saying, hey, I want to work with you. You should work with me. Check out this, check out this. It wasn't a pitch. It was just me saying, hey, I just commented on your recent video. I loved your take on leadership. Really cool how you broke it down those 3 different ways. Hey, by the way, I noticed a couple things on the videos that would help you get more engagement and obviously more revenue for your company, more customers, that kind of stuff. Just a couple tweaks that you can make on your own. If you're up for it, let me know. I'd love to chat with you. And that was it. And so that's all really, when you're leaving a personalized video DM, one, video stands out because 99% of people are sending text video, DMs, and they're really pitchy, and like we all get them, right? We get them every day, and we're just like, nope. So a video DM instantly separates yourself, and then it gets to, you show your personality a little bit. We're human, especially in the COVID era that we're in. We want to see each other's face. It's the connection. And then 3, you personalize it. So you mention something about the content or their profile, something meaningful, and then you offer up value, and then there's a subtle call to action, which is just, hey, let me know if you want to chat. I'd love to offer up this to you for free. No strings attached. And that's how you do it. But to go off that, if let's say you didn't have the interactions or the engagement with the other people's posts, or you couldn't find anyone, then you can always go to the people that you recently connected to. And again, you connect with the right people that you think you could do business with, and you send them a video DM, something personalized. And again, you offer up something of value with a subtle call to action. That's the blueprint.
Very cool. Very cool.
And I think, Alex, you've done that particularly well, mate. I think you've actually sat down, you've really looked at that, and you've thought about what it is that the audience wants. You've thought about what it is that you need to be able to take it to the next steps. We talked a lot in season 1 about next steps. We don't talk about follow-up. You remember that? Yep. And the idea is being, if you go through follow-up, it's, I'll follow someone up and they may do something, and I may have them interested to do something. But when you do next steps, you actually put in place what is next and what's going to happen. What's next steps for you in terms of what you're building and how you're moving from being an employee to entrepreneur to now sort of setting up, what will become the ABS empire? What's next for you? What do you see happening in terms of video curation content for you?
Well, for me personally, it impacts the company. I'd like to work with, and am starting to work with, bigger brands and bigger companies. And so right now, a lot of my focus is the 5-week LinkedIn video boot camps that I run, that are mostly for entrepreneurs, founders, solopreneurs, business execs, people that want to build their brand, generate revenue on LinkedIn consistently. And that boot camp is rolling. I mean, we've got an excellent community. We're feeding off each other. Like, that thing is going very, very well, and it's going strong. And I'm happy about that. The next steps is, how do I take it a step further and start to work with bigger brands and bigger companies on, hey, how do we develop a brand strategy? How do we develop the content strategy? We've got 100 employees. What should we do with them? How do we build this little content generating army? And so that's really next steps, because video's only going to continue to get bigger. Like, it's not going away. There's nothing that's going to prevent the video. I mean, obviously COVID and everything's gone virtual, work from home. That process only got expedited once all this stuff happened. So it's going to get more saturated. It's going to get more competitive, which is, again, I think why you need to have the creative touch on it. You need to have something that makes you stand out from everyone else.
Let's talk about content strategy, video content strategy, because I saw a post from you where you kind of went into this, and you talked about your LinkedIn profile and which piece is which, but video content strategy. I think this is a big piece so many people miss when it comes to their videos. I mean, even for myself, when it comes to what videos I put out when, I've got paperwork upon paperwork that I go through before I do a live for a training session to make sure I've got, the forehand, the middle, and the end results of the video. When you do content strategy, can you walk everybody through, like, from ground zero all the way through the delivery and then the follow-up system you have after?
Yeah. So obviously it starts with, your brand and how you want to represent yourself, your reputation, because people come to expect certain things from you. If I just came out tomorrow and started doing a completely different videos where it was just me talking and I was just delivering a message like this, people would be like, what the hell? Like, we watch you because we get a lot of the creative stuff and the humor, and that's what we want. So you always got to think about your brand and how you show up in your reputation. But secondly, you got the second thing you quickly go to is, who's my target audience and what do they care about and how can I bring them as much value as possible? And so that's really where when you think about your concepts and your ideas, which is the next place that you go in sort of the flow chart. What am I going to talk about? What's the concept? What's the idea? What's the value? It's got to be geared towards the people that you want to do business with. So if I'm a sales coach and I want to work with sales leaders, I'm probably coming up with content that tells sales leaders how to be better sales leaders. Like, how do you develop more high performing people? How do you close more deals? How do you manage and lead people? So those are the types of pieces of content that I'm putting out. But when you get to the actual scripting and that kind of stuff, there's 3 phases that I go through. And one is the actual subject or the concept. So I think about, hey, what am I going to talk about? Let's just say, hey, I'm going to talk about how to optimize your profile. I'm going to talk about how to make your profile stand out to where when potential, prospects land on it, they take action. And not action meaning leave your page action. Action meaning I want to reach out to Alex and DM him and learn more about his program action. How do you do that? So I'll say, okay, that's the concept. That's the subject. It fits my brand and what I'm building. It's relevant to my target audience. They're going to get value out of it. Check, check, check. Cool. Then I go to the scripting. I got to script this out, right? I got to tell a story. And even if you're not going to tell a story, you've got to have sort of the attention getter, the hook. Then you've got to have the message. Then you've got to have the supporting message and the value. And then you've got to have some type of, full circle where it's a CTA or call to action, or some type of, you're looping the story back around to drill home a certain point. And then after when that's done, then it's the script editing. So once I laid all that out, then I'm going back and I'm just reviewing, okay, are there any parts of this script that don't need to be in here? Is any of it fluff? Is any of it just kind of irrelevant? Are there any things that I could add that would spice this up or give it a little bit more value, a little bit more flavor, make it stand out more? And then from there, I'm sitting down and I'm recording the videos. And then that starts the whole other process of editing and post-production and that kind of stuff.
So is that the 7-hour process that you were talking about?
Yeah, it's a 7. When you're making a business rap battle, and you got to write raps, and then you got to green screen it up and rap against yourself, and there's a decent amount of editing that goes into that stuff. But I don't want to. Sometimes I don't want to say that because I don't want it to discourage people to think, oh my God. I get people coming to my boot camp sometimes, and they're like, cool, Alex, I'm going to go through this 5-week LinkedIn video boot camp. And then I'll start posting videos once they kind of look like yours. And I'm like, no. I don't want you to post videos when they look like mine. First of all, they should look like yours. But secondly, we're not looking for perfection. We're looking for progress. So for you to post a video just used like this, if you've never done a video before, that's progress. And you can still make it, if you script it out the right way, you grab attention in the first 3 to 5 seconds. There's a good clear-cut message, the value's there, and a good wraparound, a good full circle or CTA, it still can be a good video. So that's where I don't want people to get hung up on, hey, I need to spend all this time on video in the beginning. If you go back and look at my videos, some of my first few videos, I keep them up because I want people to see this stuff. They weren't nothing special. You know, it was me talking in front of the camera. I didn't know what, the message wasn't super great. It was all over the place. I didn't have a good end. So you got to start somewhere. What I try to do is just fast track people. Just like when, all the conversations I'm having with you guys, I think about when I'm a young entrepreneur and I'm starting my own business. I don't know everything, right? We never know everything, but certainly I had so much to learn. So I've got an option at that point. I can say, all right, let me try to figure out everything by myself, which is going to take me a long time. There's going to be a lot of missed opportunities. I'm going to have a lot of headaches and probably a lot of costs wrapped up in that. Or I can look at someone like Nick and Dan and be like, yo, could you guys probably fast track me and teach me some of the things that you've learned over the last 10 to 15 to 20 years plus being in business with yourself? And could I learn from that and just expedite the process? And it's a no-brainer when you think about it.
I think that's one of the biggest things about you, Alex, that I found is you were hungry for information, and a lot of people often just want to get some information and then sort of go, oh, yeah, cool, I've learned something, but I'm not doing anything with it. You were hungry for information because you wanted to implement it. And I got that with you right from the very get-go, Alex. And, the thing I want to sort of touch base on here is it's a good segue from where you were before. You said that some people will look at this and go, but I have to sort of create content like you, Alex, to put it out there. I'm the same as you. I believe they don't have to do that. I believe you just need to get yourself on video, start to get that sort of progress taking place. Like you said, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Start that happening. What would be your biggest advice to someone that's looking at the video camera right now and going, it just feels uncomfortable talking into it. It's not natural. What would be your biggest advice to how they can get started turning their text content into video creation content?
Well, usually, in my experience, because I deal with this a lot, usually people are worried about what their coworkers are going to say, what their family's going to say, what their other connections are going to say. They're worried about everything. It's all external stuff. It's usually, I don't know, this feels weird. Who am I? They have the imposter syndrome, right? Where it's like, oh, I don't. And I had this in the beginning too. I was like, oh, I don't know that much. I shouldn't be out here talking, acting like I know everything. But it's not, and that's where you have to, I think, reflect on yourself and say, hey, why am I worried about other people's judgments that are not going to determine my future? These people nobody else is going to determine my future but me. But I'm making decisions based on how I think they would react. And most of the time, it's all stuff we make up in our head anyways. This community is amazing. And most people are very welcoming. And we understand that people are newer in their journey or they're later in their journey. And so most of the time, it's all in people's heads. And so I think you have to just go. There's no secret to getting started. It's you have to just put yourself out there and know that it's going to be a process. It's going to be a journey. Think about when we started to walk for the very first time when we were little toddlers. Did we sit around and be like, you know what? This isn't perfect. I should just not try to walk anymore. No, we got up, we tried to walk, we stumbled, we fell, we hit the coffee table, we ran into our cousin. We did all this stuff. But then what did we do? The most important thing that we did was we got back up. We didn't care that someone was like, oh, Johnny just fell. We didn't care. We just you know what? I'm going to walk. This isn't an option. I'm going to figure out how this thing works. I'm going to fall. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to get banged up, but I'm going to continue to try to walk. And now we're all walking. And so it's the same thing in video and anything else. You got to go.
Man, that sounds
Alex, I love that you said that because, the first time I ran an ad to a page, I remember the hate I got on the ad, right? Literally somebody sent me this image and says, you paid Facebook to crap on my timeline, so I'm going to crap on yours. And that picture got more engagement than my ad. You know what I mean? And I was just like, holy crap, I can't believe that. And it does. It kind of hits you where okay, I got to stop doing this. I got to stop doing this. And, you just, that getting back up, that dusting yourself off and going. And I know, to a lot of people that might sound like a cliche, it might sound Pollyanna, but it's true. And I'm going to encourage you to go back because I think, Alex, it's on below your feed, right? Where you have all your videos. If you actually go back and look at Alex's profile below and you can scroll back to some of his early videos, I mean, everything is a progression. And Alex and I were actually talking about this last week where I was saying, and when you think about an operating system, right, these computers control companies, they control stock markets, and everything. And when they have an update, it's about 80% done. There's a reason there's when they have a new software that comes out, it's about 80% done. There's a reason there's updates. right? So as we keep that focus and just, you know, like Alex said, grab that video and just put something out there, because I've always believed, and Alex, tell me if you see this vision as well. You know, if you've got something that you can say that can help somebody, you actually owe it to the community to say it.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. It's not even about you. It's about, you know, the impact that you can make on other people. But it's just, you know, to go back to that point, it's just so crazy how, like, if we look at other aspects of anything that goes on in our world and our society, if I was like, tomorrow I want to be the best rocket scientist, and then I got in the lab or the classroom with all these rocket scientists, and I was like, oh, I want to be amazing, like right now. I'm not going to try to, they would be like, today? Like, I've been doing this for 10 years, 15, 20 years. The same thing in sports. Would you get in the boxing ring with Floyd Mayweather or, you know, one of the champions and Manny Pacquiao, whoever you like? And would you all of a sudden think that you're going to like be able to hang with them? Of course not. Like, of course not. And so it's funny when we get in business, people want to all of a sudden be amazing right off the bat without putting in the work. And I always ask people, like, oh, Alex, I'm not very good on camera. Camera's not really my thing. And I'm like, oh, nice. I'm like, how many videos have you made and posted on LinkedIn? They're like, well, like 1 or 2. And I'm like, so you're not amazing and you've only posted 1 or 2 videos. Like, that's probably why you're not amazing yet. It takes time and practice, just like anything. It's crazy.
Yeah, I love when you talk about boxing, because one of the things you talk about a lot, Alex, that really resonates with a lot of people, I think, is the hook and the jab, right? Just walk us through in terms of when you're looking at content, how you're creating that next video that you're thinking about and how it's going to resonate with your audience. Just walk us through that hook and then that jab, you know?
Well, if I think I know what you're talking about here, are you not talking about like hook as in offering something and jab as in delivering value, like a Gary Vaynerchuk, are you?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Well, your content is all jabs, basically. I mean, it shouldn't be like, I've never once gotten a video and been like, hey, this video is to talk to you about my 5-week LinkedIn video bootcamp. You should sign up. Here's why. Here's the value. All of my videos are jabs, but the thing is, you have subtle right hooks, right? So you put in the comments. If you notice my videos, you'll put in the comments, hey, if you're curious on how to make content that stands out on LinkedIn and generates revenue consistently every single week, ask me about my 5-week LinkedIn video bootcamp. And so there's nothing wrong with those little hooks, but the main message, the main piece of content should always be very value driven towards your customer, so they get something out of it. But you leave them to a point where, like, man, if I got that for free, like, what would I get working with this individual or this company? And so that's where you have to be very, very intentional. Like, I think about, Nick, our conversations going back to when we first started engaging with you guys, those are the things that sometimes we're missing, was like, I wasn't intentional enough. Like, I wasn't thinking about how am I going to turn this piece of content into 5 to 8 leads, and turn that into, 5 Zoom calls and then 2 or 3 customers or whatever it might be. That's where you have to really, really be intentional. So when you're creating content, I always teach people, hey, and one of the first things I ask them when we're reviewing a piece of content is, who is this for? And what's the purpose behind this? Like, where do you want to take your audience? How is this going to lead them to wanting to work with you? And then what is the actual next step? Are you going to hit them up, video DM after they liked or commented? Yes. Are you going to have a call to action in the comments? Yes. Are you gearing them towards your LinkedIn group that you've created? Yes. Like, because that's a funnel system too, and a way to build community. So there's lots of ways to do it. So you got to be very intentional, but you can't be pitchy.
And look, just on that, I want to lead in with this and finish with this from this point of view, Alex. When you look at like how you're creating what we call the RG, the revenue generating appointments, right? When you're looking at those and you now say to yourself, my destiny's in my own hands, right? I'm not working for someone, I'm working for myself. What things do you think about that you want to share with everyone out there that should be thinking about those as well, that it's now up to you to make it happen, right? You've heard me say so many times to you, if it's going to be, it'll be because of you, right? What advice would you have now to say to someone, this is what you need to do to make it happen every day?
Yeah, everything. I mean, you're so right. Everything is in your hands, which is the exciting part, but it also can be the scary part too. The best piece of advice I would have is like really sit down and think about what you need to accomplish every day and every week. Get extremely intentional. Like, how many meetings do you need? How many customers do you need? How many pieces of content do you need? Like, these are the things that you really have to think about if you want to make that transition from side hustle, working your full-time job, to having the side hustle, to doing your dream, to growing your business, to doing that full time. is you really have to make that switch and say, hey, it's 100% on me. It's not always going to go, it's not, I'm not always going to have amazing days. There are going to be tough days and challenging days. We've talked about those many times with you guys. And some days are going to be amazing and you're going to blow the freaking roof off. And so you got to be prepared for that swing. You can't get too high. You can't get too low. I think that's actually really important because I can mess with you. But you got to have a plan. You got to have a strategy. You got to know what numbers and KPIs you need to hit to have a successful week, a successful month, a successful quarter, and year and beyond. You have to really nail those down. You have to treat it like it is a business, not just a side hustle.
That's awesome, brother. Look, I just want to say thank you very much. I've always known you as ABS from the second I interacted with you. Dan and I love you bits, mate. And thanks for being on the show, buddy. And yeah.
Thank you guys for everything. Yeah, thank you guys.
It was an absolute pleasure, Alex. You know what? To all of you watching, here's the pitch. That's how Alex just said. You subtly throw it in. Listen, if you want some of the key tactics and strategies that Alex learned, that a lot of other people on Season 1 learned, we are offering up Season 1 at an ultimate ridiculous price. Click the link below this live. You'll see it for the NRDD Show Season 1. We encourage you all to go get it because that went through so many different strategies and tactics that you can use in your business, and it's helped Alex go from employee to entrepreneur, thriving and living the business of his dreams. Until next time, my friends, enjoy yourselves, and we're off with the NRDD exit.